Hello everyone, welcome to Here We Go. In this lesson, let's talk about AI and opening. So as you can see, I set up an AI program here on Sabaki, the Go software that I use. This AI engine is called Lila Zero. It is based on AlphaGo Zero, which was the Go AI that really mastered the game of Go for the first time. It is much better than any human player on the planet. AI can be a double-edged sword for beginners. It can be good and it can also be misleading and bad. So let's talk about the pros and cons of using AI. So if you play with it yourself, and I will teach you how to set it up on your own computer in my next lesson. So once you set it up, here you see the numbers on these intersections, and they indicate the AI's belief in the winning probability of the side that's moving. So now it's Black's turn. So it's basically saying by playing here on the start point, Black has a 42.2% chance of winning. And that is very, very specific. Human beings do not calculate in Go like this. And if you say this 10 years ago before the emergence of AI, people would think you're crazy because no one thinks about Go in terms of chance of winning this early on in the game. But this is the level of accuracy that you can get from AI these days. So let's just follow AI. Now it's White's turn. So the chance of winning is bigger for White. So you see it's about 57.7%. So White plays here. Now, say if Black plays a 3-4 point, White will play here. It's about the same. But once you start using AI to play, say, 10 games, you're going to see many repetitive patterns because AIs have very specific preferences. For instance, it really likes the 3-3 invasion to the start point. And all the josekis that develop from these are very similar, right? So they're very repetitive, very similar, right? Suggesting this again. So White will just play here, right? They're playing the exact same josekis across the board. So you're gonna get bored pretty easily. So the correct way to use AI really is to input a pattern from your gameplay and see what AI suggests. This way you'll learn what mistakes you have made in your own game rather than starting from scratch and let AI play a game by itself. Because AI playing the game is very abstract, it's very repetitive, and most importantly, some of the AI moves are not for human beings, meaning that you cannot successfully use those moves to develop after the opening in your mid-game fights. An analogy would be to say that if self-driving cars take over our highways, theoretically they could all go 100 miles per hour without having any accidents at all. But that doesn't mean that we humans, when we're on the highway, we should be driving 100 miles per hour. We can't do that because we're a human. And we cannot avoid accidents when we're driving that fast. So similarly, here AI is pulling some really cutting edge moves that require a lot of calculation to pull off. If you only learn some of these cutting edge moves in the opening and you can't follow through with your mid-game fights and calculation, then you'll be at a disadvantage going forward. So this is something that's really important for you to know. And that is why it's good to learn human moves that AI also approves, rather than to learn purely AI moves, like some of the professional players, right? Professional players like to emulate AI because they have more brain power, more experience, and more calculation skills to follow through with these advanced AI moves. As a beginner, you should consider learning more of the human moves, including those that receive lower scores from AI. An example would be the side openings that I introduced in lesson 406. So in that lesson, I mentioned that AI does not favor those openings. AI gives them lower scores. So let's see how much lower the scores are. So the Sunland say for the 3 connected stars look like this. So now you see AI is suggesting the corner approach and the 3-3 invasion. It's about 42% chance of winning, meaning white has about 58 or 57.7% chance of winning. And AI is not suggesting that we play the Senlensei. But what if we play here? What happens to the percentage point? So now you see the AI is saying white's chance of winning is 59.8. So before this move, we had 57.7 for white. So white's chance of winning has improved by 2 percentage points. And that is really small. That does not make any difference at all. I can tell you. For beginners, right, makes a tiny bit of difference for amateurs. So playing the Sanlensei is perfectly fine for beginners. It really doesn't matter that AI is scoring this move a little lower than the corner approach or the 3-3 invasion. So similarly, let's look at the Chinese opening that I suggested. So now computer is saying black can retain a 41.9% chance of winning by playing the 3-3 invasion, meaning that's 58% for white. But what if black plays here? And now 58 is increased to about 59.5. So again, that's only 1.5% chance of winning. And that's negligible for an amateur game. You really don't have to worry about it. Professionals might obsess over these percentages of winning because they really want every edge they can get. Because these games are so even, everybody's so strong, everybody devotes their entire lives, all their waking hours to playing Go, to these competitions, right? That they want every advantage possible, and that's why they're avoiding these side openings, these openings that receive lower scores from AI. But if you're a beginner, if you're an amateur, you have to try out these moves yourselves because they don't really affect your chances of winning. They really do not, especially this early on in the game. Now, if we try the variation to the Chinese opening, right, it is similar, right? This one is even slightly better than the actual Chinese opening, as you can see, according to AI. But again, AI really doesn't matter here. Lastly, I will show you the Kobayashi opening. It is this approach, white answers, and now the computer is suggesting, again, the 3-3 invasion. You're going to see this a lot, but you may or may not like it as a beginner because some of the josekis can get really complicated. If you try playing the 3-3 invasion josekis online, many other players, more experienced ones, might want to trick you, and it's easy to make mistakes. So for beginners, I would suggest using the approach more often, and then as you get stronger, use some of the 3-3 invasion AI moves. So here you see, again, AI is very focused on the corners, right? It's either the 3-3 invasion, the approach, or the corner closers. And it's not suggesting that we play the Kobayashi opening. But what if we do play here? Again, your chance of winning only goes down by about 1%, 1 to 2%. And that's really insignificant for an amateur game. And I would say it makes no difference for a beginner because beginners make a lot of mistakes and so do amateurs. And these games usually experience a lot of ups and downs. So as long as you play these good human moves, you're still fine going forward in this game. The main takeaways from this lesson is that number one, AI moves may not be for you. So do not study every move that AI makes because you may not be able to follow through with your calculation skills or with your experience or intuition. You can use AI to identify good moves in certain situations that you are facing, but you should not rely on AI for every move. Number two, you should study as many opening moves as possible, including those from 20, 30 years ago that human players have experimented with. So the good sources are books, websites. They're professional players who talk about opening moves, or players who are stronger than you who want to teach you a move or two. Those could help as well. Of course, there are good AI moves that beginners can readily learn, like those moves that I introduced in this chapter, right? Like the 3-3 invasion approach, corner closers. Of course, those are routinely used by human players before AI as well. And as you're learning the opening, it's important to find your own favorite moves. You can develop your own style when you're playing other amateurs. But what's important is that your favorite moves will change as you improve, and they need to change if you want to improve, right? Because sometimes your style will come up against the wall. You won't be winning against stronger players, and you have to pivot. You have to come up with a new style, a new way of organizing your opening in order to improve and win more games. And lastly, as I have repeated many times in this channel, remember this is your game. You have to use your own brain to calculate and to have fun. Please do not rely on AI for your every move, and please do not use AI to cheat when you're playing on the internet. A lot of people do that. It's totally insane. It makes no sense. So it's all about having fun, and as a beginner, it's also about making mistakes. And correcting mistakes is one of the best things that AIs can do. So it's amazing how this whole lesson would not have existed before 2016, before the age of AI. But now I feel it is necessary for me to talk to beginners about how to use AI. In the next lesson, I will teach you how to set up AI on the Sabaki Go software. Thank you for watching.